This is China, but that there is North Korea. I'm in Dandong, the biggest border town between China and North Korea, and there are North Koreans here, there are export products, and this is the best view you will get of the DPRK without going in itself. Pretty nuts. You've got like a big tower block there, lots more here. We were here last night and there was a bit of activity. It wasn't nearly as bright as the Chinese side. In 1950, US forces advanced towards the Yalu River, which is behind me. General MacArthur, leading the US Army, was determined to exterminate communism from North Korea. And against the warnings of Harry Truman and Zhou Enlai of the Chinese government, advanced, which eventually prompted the Chinese to join the war and drive the UN forces and the South Koreans back to what is now the 38th parallel. So now that we're in Dandong, 500 meters from North Korea, let's go and have an explore. We are going to see the Yalu Broken Bridge, the bridge over the river, and get as close to North Korea as we can, and then we are going to check out a flea market. And I always think that's a really good way to understand the history of a place, just as good as a museum in a way, a flea market. See if we can buy any North Korean antique products. These are all tourist export shops where you can buy North Korean liquor, cigarettes, clothing, all sorts of things. Until about 4 or 5 years ago, Dandong had about 80,000 North Korean workers. Now it's reckoned to be about 7,000 or 8,000. The rules have changed. Chinese factories here used to employ really cheap North Korean labor because they didn't have to subscribe to Chinese labor laws, which is very interesting. They could make them work longer hours for half the money. But for the North Korean workers coming over, they could earn 5 times as much here as they could there. And apparently the North Korean state pockets 90% of their earnings when they go back because they're so desperate for hard currency. When we were here last night, it was really interesting because the North Korean side had some lights on. You can do boat tours, but I think it's a waste of time. You don't get very close. But the North Korean side had some lights on. But then you look at this Chinese side, and obviously it's not lit up now, it's very grey. But it's not that heaving, but all the neon is on, all the LEDs, and the difference between the two sides is very noticeable. And I just wonder what it's like to be a North Korean living in one of those tower blocks looking over at the other side. This must look like kind of the promised land, the land of the free, which in a way it is. And you see all a showroom for kind of swanky new cars, and all these bars and restaurants and big buildings. I mean, Dandong's a city of 1 million. So to look over from that side must be pretty impressive. This is a North Korean export shop. Let's have a look at what they have. Cigarettes. I think some of these are South Korean, to be fair. But some of it will be North Korean and Russian stuff. These are North Korean made clothes, like children's clothes. Makeup mirrors. Hand grenade liqueur. That's pretty cool. Sort of weird fish stuff. Insam liqueur with that root in it. Weirdly. It's interesting. I think that's South Korean. So I've just bought a carton of Kim Jong-un's favourite cigarettes, which is pretty cool, to take back to the UK for special occasions. And Yeah, I mean, way to make yourself popular at parties, I guess. This is the Yalu River Bridge, the broken bridge, which ends just there. And this is the closest I will ever get to North Korea. Which is about 200 meters over there. Yeah. Down there, North Korean waters. And doesn't seem to be much activity on the other side. Yeah, some good propaganda of the Korean War up there. Then you have the new bridge over there, which is where we saw some trucks come over last night. There's some barges over there doing something. But in general, it's pretty darn quiet. Can I see a single person? No. That supposedly, over there is a city of 1 million people. Not sure. But it's hard to know, isn't it? I can't go there, I've never been there. Look at the Chinese side, bustling. Lots of Chinese tourists and South Korean tourists and Russians and 4 Brits. And look at the Chinese side, bustling, cars, lights. We've got a fantastic Korean War memorial of Chinese and North Koreans marching towards the UN forces to drive them back. It says for peace. So that is not the brand new Yalu Bridge, but the functional Yalu Bridge. Last night we saw actually quite a lot of trucks coming over to pick up Chinese goods to import to North Korea. And they come over this bridge and then they go into that zone, notice the barbed wire on the walls, and they presumably they unload in a big warehouse a couple hundred meters down there.
Is that a mic?
It is a mic.
Hey, welcome back. We're live in Dandong. Don't know why I'm American.
The girls have had their stab at an intro. That's making the cut. We are at the Guancheng, which is the antiques market. I don't really know what to expect. I hope it's not a lot of old rocks, because Chinese men really like old rocks. I'm hoping it's more North Korean stuff. But let's see. Intriguing. Kind of hard to tell. This place just seems to sell beer. Chinese men seem to... Yeah, old rocks, there we go. They love old rocks. I don't know what it is. Same in Qingdao. Or green rocks. This looks slightly more promising, actually. God, it's kind of eerie. Okay, no, this looks increasingly better. Oh, that's quite good. PLA 1. Oh my god. Maybe coldest vase of all time? Great Mao. I want to find the North Korean stuff. 等一下，这个市场有什么那个朝鲜的商品吗？
不知道，你得上去看看。
朝鲜商品。
哦，非常好。Seems to be a Korean army medal. Oh yeah, look at that.是50年代的战争吗？战争的。
这50年代差不多，50年代可能前后。这都是朝鲜的。
这个多少钱
5块钱一个。
5块。
人民币。
好。Some Korean War medals, North Korean ones.
什么情况啊
？15可以吗？
啊，行。
Right. £1.50 for a Korean War North Korean medal. That's pretty decent.
什么纪念币？
这个是15票，是车票吗？
不是，
不是
钱币。
钱。
这是53年的钱。
53年。
53年的中国的1分钱。
Interesting. 1950s.
10块钱是不是？刚才是我。
Apparently. I don't know. They look quite crisp. He's brought out his North Korean money. It's pretty awesome.
哪个？10块钱一张。
It's very beautiful.
他们最大的就是100嘛。
啊，对，最大的它就100。这个是老的，这个还年份还早呢。
有比较老
的一角的。
有13张，可以80，可以吗
13张80啊，可以。
Okay, so guys, bargain hard because I think I've already still been ripped off, even getting 13 for 8 quid. We making it out of Pyongyang with this one. Really cool. Look at that. Okay, we've got an excellent North Korean propaganda poster there. Look. Amazing old radios. Really cool. Oh, we found a shop that's potentially doing some quite good propaganda posters. And some really gotting paintings. Oh, 非常好。你好。She says it's from the 80s. I'm not entirely sure, but even if it's brand new, I don't really care. It's really cool. They would have been painted in North Korea.
Here she goes.
I can't believe she's got 2。
Oh,
阿里郎，
Ali Long.
是最好抽。
手机给我。
She's giving us her
727很
North
好，
Korean
但是
cigarette recommendations. We've just bought a
我的老公说
propaganda
可以
poster.
我的老公
Which is
是朝鲜
exciting.
族，他会说
I'm quite happy with them.
他们学中文了。
He trades with he goes across the other side.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
贸易一扫我就
150的。
讲价
你常
呢。
常去朝鲜吗？
这一阵没去，疫情这10多年没去，
OK，
疫情前去，
开玩笑。
对，
现在都已经制裁
没
了，
让我做。
没有去，去不了。现在不开馆怎么去？
去不了。
知道，都在
现在
微信。
没开馆嘛？
对呀。
都多少年了？疫情20年开始就谁
你
都
扫我可以啊。
可以啊。
Interesting. So I used to go across, from my understanding, and then they're not really that open up anymore. So
Yeah.
this guy used to import South Korean products into China and then export them to North Korea. And he says now North Koreans aren't allowed to consume South Korean products, but there was a time
出关的。
before where it wasn't a problem.
那
Which
个
is
是
really
民间
interesting.
贸易，
There
那不是
appears to be a
国际贸易。
crackdown.
中朝有域嘛，
People
所
have
以
been
他的民
persecuted
间
there
贸易
for
照
playing
样做，
League
老
of
百姓和老
Legends
百姓之间
and
能做
consuming South Korean TV. It's really interesting.
他们在
Before
他们里面
apparently.
有手。
你
他们都是带手的，从朝鲜到中国。
过来现在不行了，他们会过不来。
Guess the Chinese don't really
制裁了
want
嘛。
North
他
Korean
看到江
products.
桥上为什么运那么多东西？
对
就是朝鲜需要的东西。
因为好多卡。
民间用的。
明白
He's just saying that there isn't much North Korean exports to China because Chinese don't really want their stuff. They want Chinese products.
可以做效。
And then they kind of export labor because the North Koreans are desperate for hard currency, yuan, dollars, rubles, whatever. Just... Gang are playing pool.
我那时候
Another
16岁，
brilliant shop.
哎，就到哪都发一个这
哇，
个。
你看的真年轻。
哎呀，我现在已经
It's got
是你们的爷爷，
really beautiful
我已经
projectors.
74了，
哇，
对不起。
看着非常年轻。
不年轻。
还有你的头发。
Oh, that's cool.
当年就是拿
old
这个
hats
到一个城市，给发一个这个证文。
Great old movie posters from the 50s and 60s. Really good. Pigeons. 你好。
哎，你这一养，
It's North Korean iron. What will this young lady want to buy from North Korea? An iron. I've just bought myself a North Korean watch with Kim Il Sung on it, made after his funeral, which is pretty cool. We've sat down for a Korean barbecue. Don't know really what to say. I mean, pretty regular here. Pretty delicious. It's really hot. Dip it in the sauce. Lovely. behind me is the Dandong Memorial to soldiers in the Korean War. I believe it's officially called something along the lines of the Resist American and UN Imperialism and Liberate Korea or something memorial. Pretty cool. Let's go check it out. It's a pretty amazing monument. On the 27th of July 1953, South Korea and North Korea signed an armistice. And the North Koreans now refer to it as a Victory Day. You know, tongue-in-cheek. But also, I guess they established themselves as a sovereign nation. And this is why these cigarettes, famously smoked by Kim Jong-un, these North Korean cigarettes, are 727. It's really interesting. I mean, brutal war. And whatever your political leanings, you do have to be respectful and think of like many lives are lost, especially Chinese, fighting to keep North Korea sovereign, but also keep the UN forces away from the Yalu River, away from China. And in many ways it was the young Chinese state fighting to prove itself in its early years. And it's a big deal for people here because it was the first example of this new young country, this kind of sleeping dragon that had woken up, resisting and putting itself on equal footing with the more traditional superpowers, America, Britain, the United Nations in general. There we go. So that is the Yalu River Bridge that we crossed most of yesterday. And Chinese troops joining the war to fight back the Americans. This is actually quite a good map. This is Dandong, where we are now, then called Andong. And the US moved up from here and they got very close, to which point the Chinese joined. That is us done in Dandong. We are on the train to Shenyang, where I'm going to get the plane to Xinjiang. So you'll probably see that video soon too. Love.